Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today, as you can see, I've already gotten to Master 14 marks. So yesterday we did hit Master. It took us 3 days to go from Diamond to Master, and then we immediately won a bunch of games in a row. You can see these are the current stats, again being 14 mark Master with 75% win rate, all solo queue, all playing top lane. Honestly, not the best stats ever compared to what I think I could do if I was playing all my best stuff, but obviously like learning some new champs and whatever throughout this. But I'm going to go and do a gameplay and talk about the biggest mistake I see Master players making. I saw that Emerald and Diamonds, they made very similar mistakes, so I don't see a use in talking more about that. We're going to go right into this video talking about the biggest mistake I see from Master players. Okay guys, so getting right into it, to simply describe the issue that most Master players have, it can ultimately boil down to a lack of patience. Now obviously this comes in a lot more forms, so we're kind of going to talk about that throughout the game. But a lot of times, like at this point, Master players, I can lane against them. They'll lane fine against me. Obviously, a lot of times I'll win lane, not every time. But plenty of times they'll make fine plays. They'll trade properly. They know their champion's limits. Their mechanics are fine. A lot of these things are fine. Obviously, it depends on the individual person, but a lot of them, they know how to play the game. They know how to trade. You're going to watch this Jax. I'm going to lane against him overall. He's going to do fine in lane for a majority of the time. But the issue is patience, because again there you see, for example, he wasted his third ability when I had no reason to walk forward. He just kind of panicked and tried to sort of force some type of fight. The reason it didn't make sense for him to third ability at that time was because at that time I had no reason to actually walk forward because there was no minion that was low health. So instead of waiting until my minion got low enough, he forced as soon as he felt like he had to trade. He didn't have a specific reason to use his abilities. He just used them because it kind of felt right for him at the moment. Again, there, I don't have a reason to walk up. He's not punishing me for anything with his abilities. He's just using them because they're off cooldown and he wants to look for some type of trade. And so the way he trades, the way he plays the lane, it's fine, but he's just too impatient with all of his spells. He's not waiting for me, for example, to waste a cooldown or to do anything. He's just going in. I didn't have a specific reason to go in. Again, if he just waits until one of his minions are low and I'm forced to walk up, then he can easily deny me that gold without having to hope that I make a mistake, basically. And then along these lines, I've seen, it's not specifically in this game, but I've seen a lot of games where I'll play against and like there, for example, I want to talk about this really quick. Like he ended up using his third ability earlier because he saw that I was consistently using my second ability near the end of his third ability to block it, and he's able to properly identify that and trade well, and like he makes those proper plays. So like you can see, like these players, they know what they're doing to an extent now. They have an understanding of the champions, but again, this lack of patience kind of leads to a lot of these situations where they're still able to just at some point get taken advantage of because they get greedy. So like not just patience, but also greed, which is kind of a very similar thing, is extremely common. Like I had plenty of lanes within this last, day of playing in Master, where again, I gained 14 marks in Master in one day, where I would mess up in lane. I'd lose health. I'd lose a big trade, lose my flash, whatever. But then the enemy got really greedy and they wanted to kill me. They weren't okay with just getting a lead, and then they try to dive me under turret, or they'd trade in minions when, they're going to take a bunch of minion damage or whatever, or they'd trade after, I have all my abilities on cooldown, or like I have all my abilities up and theirs are on cooldown, and then they'd end up dying when they had a big lead on me, and if they would just play it slow, they would be perfectly fine. So like here, for example, Jax, he whittles me down really well. He does a good job of landing some second abilities on me and getting good poke onto me. He trades fine, but then he randomly just wastes a third ability, for example. And like he had no reason to do that, and he's just again like panicking. He's kind of just over forcing things rather than just being like, Fiora needs to, walk up at this time, so I'm going to wait until she walks up for the minion, and then I'm gonna trade. So for example, there I had to walk up for the minion, and he got his second ability on me with his grasp proc, and he really hard wins the trade. And then again, I'm looking for some type of engage. And so again, he uses that time to kind of take advantage of me. But then here, I think it's here, is where he randomly uses his third ability, or it's pretty soon, where he kind of randomly uses it and gives me a chance to all in him. Maybe it's a little later. But like again, all the way up to this point, half the time I'm walking up for last hits, he's punishing me, he's trading well, but then he's randomly using his third ability for no reason and giving me the chance to all in. And this is kind of, again, the main issue, is that they don't understand, for example, when they're getting too greedy. So again, he had the poke advantage, he was doing good into me, but then he gives me the opportunity to find the all-in on him because he wastes his third ability when he's vulnerable. So like, again, wasting these key cooldowns when they're vulnerable, getting overly greedy to try to push their lead too heavily, rather than taking small wins. And again, just a lack of patience. These are the things I see a lot of Master players do. I want to quickly point out as well, my mid laner died, and I knew that Jax was respawning, so I had time to get this entire mid wave. It gave me an extra 200 gold. Not many people do these types of things, but this little extra gold I squeezed that was going to be lost anyway because my teammate was dead, very useful, gets me an additional 200 gold. Those little plays also really do add up, and that's another kind of difference between like a Sovereign player and a Master, is they're looking to squeeze these little extra advantages. So for me, I'm fine with whittling down my opponent and waiting until I see that perfect opportunity to go in. But a lot of the Master players, again, they get really, really greedy for these plays before they're actually kind of available, you know, before they actually show themselves. And that is really the main issue. Because again, here, he's trading with me well. Everything he does is fine, right? But then at some point, like, he walks up too far forward when he no longer has the advantage. If he's just trading around his own advantages, which is kind of similar to what we were talking about with Diamond players, he would be perfectly fine. But instead, again, that greed, that want to kind of push their leads further and further, that's really the main issue I see with a lot of these players. So just understanding your champion's own, you know, strengths and weaknesses and playing around that really heavily. So again, he wants to trade really hard with grass procs with me. He doesn't want to trade whenever he doesn't have his third ability up, for example. So even trading back on me here rather than walking away means I can trade really hard on him because he didn't use his, or because he already used his third ability. So like when that's on cooldown, I know I can trade super hard. He doesn't realize that that's exactly what I'm looking for, and that's why, again, I'm able to win the trade there. And the reason there that I'm trading with him, even though I am obviously going to lose the trade, is because I want to get his ability off cooldown because I know I can like find the all-in angle. Whereas again, he doesn't really have that same luxury where he's more looking for poke. So again, he's really impatient with his third ability, which is his key line of defense. And then when he, you know, is really impatient with it, I can easily find angles to eventually all-in him. And that's kind of what we were looking for this entire game. Honestly, he didn't play lane super bad. He's not like super far behind me or anything. This was one of the better laners in general too. Like obviously other, you know, some other Master players are much worse and I'm pretty easily able to kill. This guy was laning pretty well apart from, again, those kind of main mistakes we're talking about, which I did see were very common. And then here we just find a good angle on the fight. Nothing too complicated there. And not really Jax's fault that we ended up finding a good angle on the fight, but then we are able to get the triple kill in that fight, and that's where the game kind of gets snowballed just too hard. But again, the reason that I'm able to be so strong in that fight is because I was getting a big enough lead in lane to have Trinity Force on that recall. Like, me having Trinity Force is what broke open that game. I'm not going to get all those kills without Trinity Force. I maybe get one of them, not all three. And again, these small lane leads that you're able to get, or in my case, are pretty big lane leads, lead to me having those power spikes at these key objectives and then sometimes snowballing the game and breaking it completely wide open because of that type of thing. And then again, this is kind of like the greed thing and the not understanding of champions is like Shyvana, she just thinks she can kill me here. Because again, in her eyes, I'm level, you know, or I'm low health, she can just kill me. Now, the reality is my champion is really good at 1v1s and I had an insanely big gold lead. I just hit a huge power spike with the Trinity Force, and she's down a level on me. So again, not understanding these types of things, again, it's the greed. It's like I see a kill, I want to go for a kill. They're always really bloodthirsty in general in this elo, and then they get really greedy anytime that they see an opportunity to kill someone. And kind of another thing along those lines is, as a jungler, a lot of the Master junglers do not play around their strong lanes. They play around whatever lane they kind of feel like at the time. Oftentimes they overforce dragons rather than going for proper objectives. And again, here, this guy is all inable and doesn't kind of realize it because he used his third ability. That's another thing as well, again, the cooldown stuff. But a lot of the junglers, they over prioritize dragons and they don't go for the stronger lane. Like, I'm not blaming my teammates because I won most of my games of Masters, so I don't mind if my teammates make mistakes. They're Masters. I know they're going to make a lot of mistakes. But I was winning lane, obviously, most of my games. And I'll have bot lanes losing pretty hard, and then my junglers will still play around the losing lanes. So a lot of mistakes from junglers is not understanding where their strong points on the map are and who they should be playing around. So like, you need to be playing around your strong member, not going and ganking the enemy's strong member. For example, again, the Shyvana, she tries to kill me there. She gets punished because I hit my Trinity Force plus boots already. So I'm super strong. I'm up a level on her. And she thinks just because I'm a little low health that she can outplay me. But I mean, fewer strength is literally like, you know, dueling people in a 1v1. So of course I'm going to win that. And then you're going to see here, I'm going to get kind of greedy too. You know, like, it's totally reasonable sometimes to get greedy. Everyone does. In this play, I kind of get over aggressive in a second and do kind of try to go for a big outplay. And that's one of the common things I find too. When I do get really fed, I definitely get a bit over aggressive and try to push my lead too hard. As we said, it's kind of a common mistake we see a lot of masters make as well. But here we're able to proc the ult onto the Shyvana, so we do at least get her. But obviously not worth it because we give away the shutdown, so overall still not great. And then even here, this Veigar, the reason he didn't kill Jax here is because he didn't ult quick enough, and then Nami healed and then his ult didn't kill, whereas ult would have killed if he ulted right away. So that's the same thing with the greed. Like, he's trying to greed his ult to hold it because he wants, to get a better play. And it's, again, a very common thing. They'll greed their ult. They'll, try to push their leads. They do all these things, and they're just not taking the simple small wins or like the easy plays. They're always trying to push and push and push their leads and never just be happy with eking out these small advantages. And again, those small advantages I eked out often lead to really big advantages later on, because then you hit the power spike quicker and you're able to carry a fight like I did with the Trinity Force. And so again, definitely the main kind of issue here. And then here we're able to get a nice block onto the Syndra stun and one-shot her, which is another thing as well as like cooldown tracking. Again, we've seen, for example, when the Jax didn't have his third ability, I'm trading and looking for all-ins, whereas the Jax isn't really aware of the fact that, oh, I don't have my third ability, I'm really weak, that type of thing. So, like, another thing that a lot of Master players don't do well is spell tracking. So, again, like, biggest things, they don't have enough patience, 100% is number one. They get really, really greedy with their leads, with small advantages, and they're never okay with just taking, again, those small wins, then using those small wins to get wards, to get, easier, better recalls. They're just always trying to overgreed. They don't really, a lot of times they'll overextend and then my jungle will be there, right? And like, they won't know if my jungle's there or not, so they'll have a small lead on me and they'll think like, okay, I have a small lead, I can push it and push it, but they don't know if their jungle, their jungle's oftentimes pathing the other way. My jungle is pathing towards me and they don't know whether or not my jungle is pathing, and they're just gonna like hope that they can get the advantage rather than, again, just taking those guaranteed plays. There's no reason to take so many risks to do all these things, because the reality is Master players, they're not good enough to punish. Like they're not gonna like 1v9 the game most of the time unless your teammate's feeding, just because you don't like get like a 5,000 gold lead. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to get like 5,000 gold leads within the first 5 minutes or their team's gonna throw and they're never gonna win. And obviously there's games that are unwinnable. Like, I've lost some of these games, I even lost games in, Diamond and Emerald. Some games are unwinnable even as a sovereign rank 1 Smurf in Emerald. But the reality is, like, the goal is to win a majority of games, right? Like, I've won 75% of my games in solo queue at this point. And honestly, like I said, I think I should have won many more. I make dumb mistakes, or I'm playing champs I'm not as good at, right? Like, I'm not playing my, my one tricks and whatever. And I'm still able to climb with this win rate. And again, a lot of it is just due to taking those small wins, being okay with getting just like, again, a 200 gold lead, like squeezing out that 200 gold, for example, in the mid lane when my Veigar died right before Herald. Like, all these little things that I do, they all add up. Whereas a lot of other people, they feel like they have to do like one big play, one big solo kill, leading to you getting the entire turret. But that's just unrealistic, and the enemy have to make such big mistakes. And Master players, they don't make mistakes that are that massive anymore, at least like the average one. Obviously some will, but the average one is mostly going to play fine. Like, they're going to trade fine. They're going to do most of the things correct. But then it's those key moments where they get over aggressive, they get more greedy, and that's really when they kind of like end up throwing the entire game for the most part. So again, that's obviously, I've kind of been reiterating myself a lot, but that's generally the point of my videos, is to give you guys a specific concept or two to understand per video. And if that's something you feel like you need to work on, then you go and you work on it. Because again, the same way that it's important to squeeze out these small advantages, it's important to squeeze out small bits of improvement each day. So you find something specific you want to improve on for the next day or two, and then you go into that. So if you feel like a lot of times you get good leads in lane, but then you over push them and then you end up, maybe getting punished by a jungle you didn't think about, or that type of thing, because you ended up just, again, getting too bloodthirsty, then that's something you can definitely think about in your next couple of days of games until it becomes more habitual. And if you feel like that's not your problem, then, obviously different people have different issues. So it's not like every Master player makes these same mistakes. Some Master players are really patient. I mean, like, I've lost lane to plenty of Master players at this point. Like, obviously I'm going to win lane more than I'm going to lose it, but they're good enough that they can win lane if I make a dumb mistake, which I think is an important thing to understand too, is like, even when you play against a high elo player, they're going to sometimes mess up and do dumb stuff. Like, sometimes I get greedy, or I just don't know a matchup well, or whatever. And you can punish them even if you are overall a worse player. Like, you can sometimes have better matchup knowledge, or again, just be playing better on the day. So also like not getting intimidated just because like if you do recognize someone's name, like maybe you're playing against, you know, a pro player that you recognize or whatever, like they're still human. They still do dumb things. They make dumb mistakes. So it's also kind of a random important thing to note as well. But yeah, overall at this point, we are obviously 10-1. We're really strong, and kind of the main thing now at this point is just set up for the dragon, get ready, and then eventually close out the game. This didn't happen in this game, but a different game, I ended up getting a backdoor with Fiora through mid lane as the Elder was spawning. And it's very common that people also over focus on kind of team fighting around dragons, because at this point now most master players, they're aware of dragons, but now they're over forcing it. So like lower elos, they don't even know what objectives exist. Higher elos, like master-ish level, then they really over prioritize it. And so a lot of times just pushing out that simple wave before you rotate to the fight, that's really one of the most important things to do as well. So again, since I'm a champion like Fiora who doesn't want to team fight super hard, I want to find flanks and kind of be more patient in fights. Pushing out that extra wave is good because I can still go to the fight from mid lane. Like if I'm in mid lane, I'm close enough to go to the fight. Nothing really, you know, bad's going to happen if I'm there 5 seconds late. And then I have that additional pressure in the side lane. So that's kind of another little thing. But again, main issue here that I want to talk about is that a lot of master players, they lack that patience. They lack the ability to just eke out small advantages. They're always trying to look to just like stomp rather than just get those small leads. And you can see the small lead ends up leading to me having a 5k gold lead and being 11-1 and 2 as we carry a solo queue game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was valuable to you. If you're interested in getting coaching by me, a rank 1 a solo queue player, just DM me on Discord, Talon1169, or through the link in the description to my Discord server and DM me through there. It's $25 for an hour of coaching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.